Well, it's not just Hanford watchdog groups anymore. State and federal leaders have had a chance to sink their teeth into the president's proposed Hanford budget, and they don't like what they see. In local news tonight, a man accused of pulling a knife on a Walmart security officer is now in jail. Monday, we told you Richland police were looking for 26-year-old Brian Quantrell. They say Quantrell was spotted shoplifting Sunday at the Richland Walmart, punched a security officer, then pulled a knife on the officer before getting away. At 10:30 last night, police got a tip Quantrell was in the area of Canal Drive in Edison and Kennewick and was preparing to leave the area. He was arrested without incident. Turning to the nation's health, a new study shows for the first time in 70 years, the number of cancer deaths in America has dropped. Today, Lauren Heflin looked into the number of deaths in our area. Lauren, how do the Tri-Cities measure up? Well, progress on a new park in Richland is coming right along, but the park could use your help. Lucas Mack explains the need for a nice shady place to escape the scorching summer sun. Well, some of the coats you've donated to our Coats for Kids program are headed to local elementary schools. Here are coats being delivered by Salvation Army workers to Wiley Elementary School in West Richland. By delivering some of the coats directly to schools, they'll be ready for children who might otherwise get cold going to and from school or while out on the playground. Well, it may be winter still, still a little chilly outside, but people have boating on the brink. But a lot of people are against it. Anti-tax initiative sponsor Tim Eyman says it's a recipe for economic disaster. Still, a lot of other people say it won't solve the problem with education, including the State Education Association. You may not see the homeless much, mainly because they're in out-of-the-way places or sleeping in cars in different spots every night. With the temperatures getting colder and colder at night, they're heading for local shelters. Officials at the Department of Homeland Security don't expect every city to react in the same way. They expect them to implement their own security measures based on their environment. For us, that would be to protect the dams, bridges, waterways, and the Columbia Generating Station north of Richland. A little bit of Mount St. Helens history for you. The last major eruption before 1980 was in 1800. For the next 57 years, there were some minor eruptions and extrusions of lava, but after that, it remained relatively quiet until 1980. President Bush is hailing a surge in the Northwest salmon population, and he says his administration deserves some of the credit.
The good news is that salmon runs are up.
Yeah!
And that's really positive. And we just need to make sure we keep that momentum.
Today, President Bush added to some of the things he talked about in 2000 when he campaigned here. Of course, he said that the federal government will not breach the dams, but he also said it's going to be the work of both the federal government and the local population to work together to restore the salmon.
So there's a lot going on. But the truth of the matter is, in order to make this strategy work, we're going to have to work with the local folks. That's the reality of the situation.
And that strategy is to incorporate new technologies that help the salmon get through the dams easier. It's technology that's already being used at Lower Granite Dam and will be installed at Ice Harbor soon.
But in 2003, we can say we're developing good, strong technologies to save salmon. We're getting better at it, and that's what...
Interior Secretary Gail Norton also joined the president on stage and echoed the administration's accomplishments to restore salmon runs.
When President Bush campaigned for president, he promised the people of the Northwest that his administration would be committed to salmon restoration. He has fulfilled this promise.
And President Bush and Secretary Norton both said the administration will continue to work with the state, local governments, tribes, and other partners to restore salmon runs throughout the Pacific Northwest. Mount Rainier is a beautiful sight, the snow and ice-covered peak stretching nearly 3 miles above sea level. But the same processes that built this majestic cone are hazards for the future. Research by the U.S. Geological Survey shows Mount Rainier has been the source of several volcanic mud flows at buried areas that are now densely populated.
So in the sense that we've always talked about Mount Rainier being the most dangerous volcano in the conterminous United States, and that's it has to do in part with the character of the volcano and the kinds of events that it produces, but it also has perhaps more to do with the fact that there's a lot at risk close by.
These mud flows are called lahars, an Indonesian word that means volcanic mud flow. Heat from an eruption would melt a lot of snow and ice. The water would mix with unconsolidated rock, which would form a wall of thick, muddy water with a consistency of concrete that could travel down the mountain up to 50 miles an hour at depths of 100 feet or more.
And it has will have a lot of power behind it, so it's going to be picking up rocks, picking up trees, picking up buildings, picking up cars, and just moving everything in its path.
In the last few years, scientists have determined that Mount Rainier is a lot more unstable than they originally thought. If there is some kind of activity or eruption that sends one of these lahars down the mountain, people within the park only have 5 minutes to flee. This is something park users should keep in the back of their minds.
I don't consciously think about it. I keep my ears open when I'm in drainages, stream beds, near stream beds, things like that. I keep my ears open, that kind of thing, but I don't consciously think about it.
Right now, more than 150,000 people live on the deposits of previous lahars, most in the Puyallup River Valley. Because Mount Rainier is west of the Cascades crest, all lahar hazards are on the west side of the Cascades. They'll follow west side river valleys, which means Yakima and the Tri-Cities don't have to worry about lahars, but they do have to worry about volcanic ash, just like in 1980. These World War II aircraft have stood the test of time, and out of thousands produced to help fight the war and protect our freedom, these are some of the few left. The rest destroyed in combat, or most of them just scrapped. A B-17 Flying Fortress, a B-24 Liberator, a B-25 Mitchell, and a P-51 Mustang. They're part of the Collings Foundation's Wings of Freedom Tour, a 110-city nationwide tour to honor our veterans and to educate visitors. Today I got to fly in a B-24 from Portland to Pasco. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It took me back in time to experience a little of what bomb crews went through during their missions, of course without the danger of the enemy fighters or the flak tearing through the planes coming from anti-aircraft shells.
One of the nice things about flying the airplane is that we get to meet a lot of the veterans and we hear their stories. Sometimes you want to laugh, and other times you're just about ready to cry, and every one of their stories would make a movie.
Harlan Denning is one of those people who flew a B-25 in the Pacific.
It'll bring back a lot of memories. That one especially, because I flew 58 missions in one like that and came back without any scratches.
These bombers were the backbone of the American war effort during World War II. They were able to take all kinds of damage, still accomplish their mission, and then make it back home. And this tour is a flying tribute to people like Harlan Denning. Now this tour is your chance to visit, explore, and learn about these unique and rare treasures of aviation history. You can check them out both Tuesday and Wednesday at Bergstrom Aircraft. That's at the Tri-Cities Airport. Now during the times on your screen, you can even take flights in the planes, so it's something well worth checking out and a great way to see some living American history. Christine?